Welcome to Faith Copilot's Alpha Release. My name is Jordan Brown, and I have the privilege of being one of the founders of the platform. We just wanted to take a few minutes and explain a little bit more of the why behind Faith Copilot, as well as show you a tutorial on how to use it. For us, everything is driven by the fact that we know Jesus. And because we know Jesus and we've seen him, we can give everything we have to pursuing him, loving him more, and living out his mission. So when we look at around the world today, his mission is still unaccomplished. There are billions of people who will live and die and never hear the good news of Jesus. Every red dot on this map represents 50,000 people who match that description. And so for us, we know that technology has permeated every place in our world. And so how do we really align artificial intelligence, a key part of digital technology today, under the lordship of Christ? And how do we together, as the body of Christ, come together and harness its power as a tool in advancing God's kingdom and completing the Great Commission? And what drives us, there's some principles. How do we remain open, accountable, uniting, and beneficial? We don't want to be controlling. We don't want to allow for AI to be ruled by those that aren't under the authority of Christ in the secular space. How do we really come together and utilize this opportunity while God desires it for the advancement of his kingdom? And then the moment that God says, I don't want to use technology at all in the advancement of his kingdom, we need to be ready to respond. And so how do we stay open to him throughout the process? A little bit of history. It didn't begin with Faith Copilot. Years ago, a missionary team moved to North Africa to try to reach unreached people groups there. And they saw many men and women on their cell phones, on their devices. And so they tried to meet them where they were. And they started to try to leverage technology far before that was really even talked about, how to leverage technology and utilize it in the mission. That led them to launching a platform called Disciple Tools. It's an incredible ecosystem, an open source platform that allows for the pursuit of disciple making and disciple makers to leverage that and ministries to leverage that for the purpose of multiplying disciples. That was launched in 2016, and over the next 8 years, God's allowed that platform to grow all around the world and even impact some other open source ecosystems. Faith Copilot is a byproduct of that. And so this is Disciple Tools. It's a powerful platform core built on WordPress with a lot of amazing tools on top of it. I would encourage you to look into that and research more about Disciple Tools, because our desire is to build upon that and come alongside of the open source environment that Disciple Tools has laid the framework for, and launch an entirely new ecosystem. Faith Copilot, in not just a platform, but an entire ecosystem shared openly alongside of Disciple Tools and other ministries that have started to be poured in this space. This is just a few of those that are in trying to have that mindset of openness. And how do we allow for more and more groups, more and more ministries to be open with the resources and the things that God has entrusted to them to share together, use together, build together, and fund together digital tools to advance God's kingdom? And that's really our desired outcome, is disciples around the world using, sharing, building, and funding these digital tools in pursuit of completing the Great Commission. And when we talk about those 4 types of people, this is just some. This isn't a robust list, but if you see yourself in any of these categories, we would love to walk alongside of you, have you join us in this journey at Faith Copilot, but also the open source ecosystem that God is creating and he's been growing over the last decade, to really steward and try to leverage your giftings, your experiences for his glory in the world together. And so over the last 10 months, Faith Copilot was kicked off in November, and me and a friend we met through the Disciple Tools open source realm, and from there we launched an MVP in early February. God provided 1 month of funding to launch a full-time team in May, and he's continued to month by month provide the funds to keep the project going. And so it's been an amazing ride. We're excited to see where the Lord takes it from here, and so the alpha release is what you're watching right now. So there's different user groups as we look across the Christian space. How could AI be beneficial to different groups? And it really is so flexible and adaptable, artificial intelligence is, and that it really can span across ministries and mission groups and churches and disciples and individuals. And so that can become overwhelming, but we really try to look at it in 2 realms. There's going to be power users of the ecosystem, and then simple users. I use simply a lot of platforms and a lot of applications in my day-to-day, and others I use more intricately and more complexly. And so a power user might be someone who leads a ministry or someone who's really technically savvy, who wants to get in and get their hands on all the components within Faith Copilot, whereas a simple user is someone who just maybe wants to engage lightly with the ecosystem, with artificial intelligence, maybe through a chatbot or lighter things of that nature. And so we're really trying to develop the platform to be able to be utilized in that way. A power user will primarily use their computer and really get into the customization and all the configurations that can go within artificial intelligence. We're going to look a lot at that side of things today, whereas a simple user, their engagement will be much more like you see here, pulling up a simple application within maybe their ministry toolbox, which is a feature that's about to be launched within Disciple Tools, and be able to engage very simply with asking questions and getting answers that are tailored to the Christian faith. And so as we look across Faith Copilot is not an application. And it goes even beyond a platform. It has a platform at its core with a lot of cool functionality that's being built currently on top of it and will be coming in the days and weeks ahead as more and more groups come in to build together and really share together. And here's just some of those: being able to search semantically, being able to add just knowledge and resources to train the artificial intelligence on how to respond according to Christian belief and Christian tradition, and different things like a light app like we just looked at for maybe a simple user. And before we jump into the platform, I just wanted to take a second to explain how LLMs, which is right now when we see generative AI like ChatGPT and others, that's one part of artificial intelligence, and explain a little bit of how that works. And so traditionally, if you go on to ChatGPT or any of these other models, you as the user would put in prompts and say, ask questions and different things, and you would get back a response. And those models have been trained by billions and billions of data parameter points and data sets. And so you're giving your information, your data to those large base models, and you're getting a response back. With Faith Copilot, we're really trying to focus on the entire opportunity to really harness the power of AI, but put it under and align it under the control of Christ. And so we're really looking at kind of these areas of the LLM ecosystem. So we'll be able to, with Faith Copilot, be able to actually start to train these base models by putting knowledge and data sets on top. It's called fine-tuning a model, and that's this area here. Being able to actually put data on top of these huge, across the entire internet, scraped data, being able to put really curated training data from us as Christians, and then Faith Copilot will actually allow for ministries to add in their own resources that their leadership or they as a person have been curating over years and years, that they trust, that they've vetted and seen maybe from early church fathers or other things of that nature, and being able to pull that knowledge base together so that when a user sends a message or a prompt asking a question, instead of it just going to a base model where we don't know where that's been trained or really what type of responses that we'll get, and we'll look at that in a second, it will actually go through this process and be able to be really curated down and controlled and contained accordingly to Christ and his purposes. So that's just an overview of how LLMs work. As we get into the platform, it'll make a little bit more sense here, but we wanted to put our flag in the ground and our stake in the ground across the changing landscape of artificial intelligence, and be able to then welcome and include people in the journey as we grow from here. So that's where we are today, but we're really looking at the broader environment. And so our website is at a launchable point. The platform is in its alpha phase, but we're really looking to continue to grow and to build from there. And so in the future, even right now, you'll be able to come and learn different things about these items on the left: how to unbias models, what is the best research and standard practices, how to really steward the platform, but also you'll be able to participate. You'll be able to build alongside of us, contribute feedback and training data. You don't have to be a technology specialist to be included across the board. And so being able to partner and participate in the different products and the open source projects. So really is an ecosystem, and we would love for you to join us along the way. So wanted to jump into first the website. Here, you'll be able to go to faithcopilot.com. We'd love for you to just explore more. We're going to be including this video that I'm recording now right here in the initial training video for people to be able to jump in and get acclimated to the alpha release. We have a blog with some art listed on there, and then a community page. We'd love for you to just join us here on Discord and be able to give feedback. The alpha release, there's holes in it, and you'll find bugs and different things, or there'll be features that you desire to be included. And so please join our Discord, give us that feedback. Even you might know about resources and things that we don't know about, or those wanting to come alongside and build, use, share, or fund together. So please join the Discord. We'd love to converse with you there. So once you go to faithcopilot.com, you'll be able to just log in if you've already created an account, or just be able to go sign up from here. Right now, we're only offering Google single sign-on. So if you have a Google account, you'll be able to seamlessly log in. And when you log in, you will see this initial screen. And so there's really two main functions currently of the core of the product. Which a lot of things will be built on top of this in the weeks and months to come. It's chat and search. And so you'll actually come into the platform into chat. And what you'll see here are a couple key features. So at the top, you'll be able to select different models. Those are those base models that I was referring to. The different base models to be able to engage with and ask questions of. You'll be able to set some context around those base models and have some control configuration, which we'll look at. Then you'll be able, with this button on the right hand side of your screen, this plus button, you'll be able to actually put different models side by side, and to be able to not just message with one, but multiple at the same time. You can add as many as you'd like without it getting overwhelming for you there. And then you can always go in here and close down those chat windows with the three dots to the right of the select model bar. At the bottom, this will allow you to put context on top of the model. We'll look at that here in a second. And then you have your input bar at the bottom. This is where you can go in up in your top right to log in and log out, and eventually be able to have more account settings and support. And then we'll go to search here in a moment. So let's do just a quick demonstration. So let's put two models side by side. We're going to look at, this is an open source model. Some of these models are open source, some of them are closed source. And then we're going to use the same model to start, just to be able to show you, and we'll go in and actually add some context. So once you open up and click this button right above your input bar, you'll be able to search. If you want to be able to copy a PDF or just put in any text, you can do that here into this window. But if you would like to actually go in, we've preloaded, we've taken resources from different groups and different areas of the Christian world, just a small sample size, to be able to bring this in, to be able to start to show what the platform would be able to do. And so gotquestions.org is an incredible resource with tons of answers to questions around Christianity. So you could go in, select that as a context window, and you could really ask any question here, and it will go in and actually take your search and vectorize it and search across the database here and return information. So let's put in, is Jesus God? And it will go through, and after clicking submit, it will actually go through and it will give responses, go through all of the database and give the highest and best responses based on your query. Now, the three buttons to the right of selecting the context window will actually allow you to better configure. Say right now it's set on the standard of 3 outputs, and those outputs, if we look here, they're different articles that are listed from gotquestions.org, and so you could go in and actually see these and just go directly in and start to read those articles if you'd like. But it will also allow you to then add these into your chat and begin to actually converse with this information. But say you didn't want just 3, you wanted a little bit more. You could go in, you could clear out this search, and you wanted maybe 5 or 6 articles. Let's say 7 different articles, and you can update that now. And when I go in and type the same thing, is Jesus God, it's going to vectorize that information and search it across the entire database. And what you'll see now, instead of just returning 3, it will return all 7 of the responses and rank them as far, this is the score best it matched up. So I want to come up here now and say add all to chat. You can also add them individually. So now that you've added in your context, you might want to configure the model a little bit more. And so you can come up here to the right side of where you selected the model, and you'll see these different options. Within the system message, you can add something that goes over the entire conversation. So I've already copied and pasted one in here saying you're a helpful Christian chatbot. I might have articles that I've loaded in, acknowledge those, and respond accordingly to those. So now I've put that over the entire conversation. I might want to configure this even further and go in and actually set these different parameters. So temperature has to do with how creative you want the model to be. Lower numbers really let you get a response that's highly contextualized to your prompt. The larger the number, like 1.0, would be much more creative. Same with all these different numbers here. I would encourage you to research them and look up more if you want to configure the model more, but it gives you a lot of different controls into the base model. And so if you want to contextualize that more, you can, or customize that more. But we've already gone in and added this system prompt here. If you wanted to even duplicate this entire chat, you've added that in. You don't want to go back in and re-add it. You can just let it all come here. So let's do that. We now have duplicated this here, but this message here now still has the system prompt message. So let's remove that. And now we have one with the system message and context, one without system message and context, and one with nothing. All the same base model. So let's go in and we can now ask it a question. Is Jesus God? And you don't have to do all that. You could just go and put in a simple question and response. And so let's see. It goes in and just kind of gives an answer here. And this one goes in and says a question that's been debated by theologians forever. And it actually gives a Christian perspective, some scriptural evidence beside that, but it gives other points of view as to whether Jesus is God, and it's complex and multifaceted, right? And so, in regards to biblical understanding, sometimes I've seen this response say, give a lot of things with just the open model of saying from different religions and different points of view that Jesus wasn't a God, he was a man and other things, or a prophet. But now we can go and look at this one. And so I've reviewed the articles we've discussed so far, and I see that we've been exploring the nature of Jesus. So it actually goes in and it studies all of these things and gives a response based on that. In light of this, I would say that Jesus is indeed God in the sense that he is fully divine and shares the same essence and nature of the Father. And so it goes in and actually curates down your context and your response. So that's one way that you can use the platform. If you want to go in and come down here and actually clear all the responses, you can do that. But you can also move this up here. You can also provide feedback. And what this does is, as you look through these responses, maybe you see that this response was the best response, which would be column B, and the colors align kind of with that. So if you select B here, what this does is it will actually package down all of this information, the context that you were using, the model that you were using, and it will store it as a piece of data. And we'll be able to then start to bring in human training data, Christian training data, and put that in the fine-tuning level on top of the base model. So we'll have our base model, and then as Christians from around the world in different groups start to use the Faith Copilot and actually give feedback on, hey, this was an answer that was aligned to the purposes of Jesus in Christian context or not, they'd be able to go in and as they vote on those things and give their input and their feedback, that we'll be able to pull that together and use it to train open source models or closed source models or future models as they come to make the responses more aligned with the Bible. So that's a feature here, or if you just want to clear all the conversations, you can do that. So we'll come back to chat in just a moment, but let's jump over to search. And so search has a similar concept that we saw when we were adding context, but you can also add in one side by side. So let's put 3, and let's select got questions like we were just working on. We can go in and actually bring in, let's say, Faith Tech, which is a great ministry that brings together Christians that are in technology and leveraging that within missions, and same with Indigenous. And let's go in and let's type, what is a digital missionary? Let's say a digital missionary. And so again, it will vectorize this information. And instead of it just giving one response here, it will actually take and allow for you to see these responses side by side. And you could go in similarly and actually research what was responded to, actually go in and click on those links and pull those up and actually get into the resources there. 3 reasons we need technology missionaries. And so you can go and read those responses and be able to just kind of see what was the ranking based on those. You can prompt different things and really start to evaluate, and it will really help your search experience of these different contexts. How a church leader or maybe a super user might utilize this is being able to bring in a lot of their documents. Say a pastor, they have tons of documents over the years, and it's really hard to be able to search and engage with it. The Faith Copilot will allow for groups and individuals to actually load in their knowledge base, their resources, and be able to search them in a vectorized way. So people can put in different information, and instead of sending it to a closed source model and giving their information away there, being able to use the Faith Copilot hosted and putting your information in where you control it. So that's search. There's other features within that. In the same way that we saw the ability to configure those searches there, you can. And I want to show you one other feature here with search. So let's start over, and actually let's choose the Holy Bible, right? And so this is the ESV version. So we want to go in and configure this. So let's get maybe 5 responses, but instead of searching the entire Bible, let's say the book being the book of Genesis here. And when we do this, now we'll eventually add, just simple drop downs and things to make this tagging a lot easier. But you can go in and actually then search based on the tags of the data. So instead of it searching for the entire Bible, say God's love for man, you would get a ton of different responses here, but now we're just honing in on the book of Genesis and able to be brought down to that specific context. And so as you can see here, you can view the metadata of each and every response. And as you look through, these are all the different tags. So you could search based on tag, book type, Old Testament or New Testament, the chapter, just different things to be able to hone in on where you're searching within a certain data set. So if a pastor loads up all of their different resources, and maybe they've put them in different folders, like abortion and missions and other things, they would be able to tag those and then quickly be able to start to search through that information and then bring that over and start to chat with it like we saw in the chat. So this is a little bit about the platform. Again, we're putting our stake in the ground here and really continuing to ask the Lord to provide new features, new people to come in and build and contribute with us. And how can we not control, but to actually give away as much as possible and allow for the body of Christ to really come together and harness this platform as a tool in reaching the world and completing the Great Commission. So we'd love for you to join us along the way. You don't have to be tech savvy to do that. I want to show one more thing before we close. And the power also of the platform is in the same way that we were here configuring these different models and being able to set that context up, put in certain data. Well, that's really overwhelming for a lot of users, especially simple users that just want to get in and engage with spiritual conversation that is tailored to their context. Imagine just someone opening a simple application just like this and saying, is Jesus God? And being able to ask that question. What a wonderful question, my friend. We've said for this one, be a helpful assistant that always responds according to the Bible. It gives a Bible verse and asks a follow-up question. And so I'm happy to help. Jesus is indeed fully God and fully man. For in him, the whole fullness of deity dwells in body. And then it asks, can I ask what led you to ask this question? And, are you seeking to deepen your understanding of Jesus' identity? My friend at school brought it up. Maybe they didn't know how to respond. Maybe this is a child engaging here. So it's great that you're engaging in conversation with your friends about faith, even if you're just starting to explore the topic. This is a wonderful opportunity to learn. Here's a Bible verse, right? And then it asks a follow-up. How do you think your friend's perspective on Jesus' identity differs from yours, right? So very simple. What the Faith Copilot through APIs will allow for the platform and leaders and super users to go and configure a chat experience and an LLM and make sure this is going to respond according to the purposes of the Lord, and then be able to quickly deploy that through API backend connect to any interface. We'll start to release, and people from the community will be able to release different skins just like that one, different contexts and different ways to engage with LLMs that are creative, and be able for others to quickly be able to pull those into their environment, then deploy and update as they go along. So a church would be able to take this. It doesn't say let's talk. Maybe it's your church's logo or your ministry's logo, or it's contextualized to different use cases, and really the possibilities are in how it can be utilized. And so how do we leverage this together as the body of Christ? How do we align it under Christ's purposes and utilize it to reach an unreached world. We'd love for you to join us. This is just scratching the surface of what the Lord's doing here, both with Faith Copilot within the broader open source ecosystem. We'd love for you to join us, and we hope to hear your feedback and hope that this blesses you in your pursuit of loving Jesus more and living out his mission. Thank you.